Welcome to Let's Talk Boobs. This is the Dallas remote edition. This episode, we are here with Chef Diablo. You got a little taste of when we were doing our Welcome to Dallas episode. So now we're actually going to interview him. He used to work for Playboy Production. So we're going to dive in and we're going to find out all these amazing stories and get these questions from him. I'm your host, Boobs Blanton. This is my co-host, Heine. And we are in Dallas, Texas with Z-Vista and Z-Sista, and we're having an amazing time. So let's get started. So you worked for, when did you start working for Playboy?
Many years ago, there was an opportunity to work for Playboy because they were expanding their facility because a company called Manwin Entertainment, also known as Mind Geek. Have you ever seen Pornhub before?
Yeah.
YouPorn?
Of
all
course.
those RedTube?
Yes.
Those are the guys.
All of them.
Okay.
I whack up to all of those fucking websites.
I've never heard any of that.
Those are the guys.
He
Those are the
doesn't have
money.
a penis.
So if you go back and Google, that you'll see that they did a deal to buy up a bunch of things from Playboy to help them in the financial crisis they were having, and it was a 7-year brand deal to use Playboy.
And that's when they brought you in?
It was just an opportunity to go and do something. So, some things had happened in my
Like,
some things.
Playboy, sure, I guess.
Yeah,
twist my
you know how
arm,
things happen. You're in a job for a long time, things change, and then it's time to
So
move
how
on.
old were you when you started working for Playboy?
Oh, see, you're asking tough questions here.
Well, you
Well,
said
he's obviously only about 35
that's
now.
right. Well, you said in
right.
your early 30s that's when you kind of had to straighten up.
Oh,
but
yeah, we
I
definitely
would
have had some conversations about
Yeah.
Chef Diablo's previous life before.
Yeah,
Right.
but I'm just
May have been a
interested.
little debaucherous.
Right. Well, when you're a professional chef working, in hot, the top restaurants in the country back in the late 80s, 90s, and then opening up the, independent restaurant in the MGM Grand Hotel, the world's largest casino in the world, in 1993, New Year's Eve.
those stories.
Okay,
What's your favorite thing to cook? Like, what is your signature dish that is if somebody was like, cook me your favorite meal?
I just like to pay whenever I cook. Every time I do something, it's an homage to the people that I got my tutelage from, the Mark Millers, the Susan Spicers, and so I like the Alsatian, Mediterranean, modern Southwestern flares. I like the foods of Texas. That's why I love coming here to Texas, because there's so much to eat.
I had an amazing tuna salad at Jackson, and I would have probably.
That wasn't Jackson.
It was. No, wait.
Tuna salad.
Hold on.
Oh.
And the only reason that I tried it was Chef Diablo was like, this is a traditional. And he gave me the lowdown because it was a
Niçoise salad, and you're like, "What's that?" And then you go, "What's a haricot vert?" Hey,
I believe that's exactly how he said
He's
it.
Wait, Boobs, do you know what a haricot vert is?
Yep.
is your Colbert hairy right now?
All right, Ken.
Nope.
Let's tell all the red light for all the people out there who
Red light.
Chef Diablo is for all the people out there who don't understand, like myself at the time.
It's a string bean. It's a French string bean.
Okay.
So
This tuna was had
So it had
haricot
string
verts
beans in it.
and it also had eggs in it. And I was like, this isn't something. And he goes, no, it's traditional.
it's a Niçoise salad. So it's got potatoes and haricot vert and everything that's part of the eggs, and it's all compartmentalized.
That sounds delicious.
But normally,
it was amazing.
the French would take the tuna, and they would make it into they would cook it in olive oil with garlic and stuff like that, and they would chill it, and they would take this nice tuna, put it, so it was like kind of a warm, not a warm salad.
And it was amazing.
But this
I'm not
was done
even
different
hungry.
because
That
it
sounds
had a seared tuna on it instead, so it had like sushi grade tuna seared and then sliced on top of it, so it was a nice change.
Okay, so one thing I wanted to ask you is because I know you worked for Playboy, and there was a time where Playboy could have taken over basically the entire online porn
industry.
industry.
much,
And so
pretty
they
much,
missed,
yeah.
They had a huge business opportunity that they missed, and Heine told me a little bit about it, and so I would like to go into detail about like what happened with that, and why Playboy didn't take that opportunity.
Well, I think I can only speak for what I hear and the rumors and what I know. But just think back, you go from something that is in a magazine whether it's Club or Penthouse or Hustler or whatever, Hustler sure was making movies. Things were on VHS and DVD.
Yeah.
And then Hustler, did they have a broadcast division at that time? No. The only person that, then look at Vivid was making movies, but did they have a broadcast division? No. So again, they were the only people with a real broadcast environment, and then when
they had the equipment, and they just didn't seek the opportunity.
Well, they weren't taking them and seeing how the internet was going to change and how you could, create these websites. So I think one of the things that I really noticed was before I got into that business and being working in media and operations for them is that you had a lot of small town guys that were out of Florida making stuff like Bang Brothers. So you have all these guys making all this stuff, and they're using it on the web, but they aren't taking notice to it. So they had an opportunity to
sort of take over that market
to monopolize, monopolize porn, and they just didn't seek the opportunity.
So instead, you had these smart guys. I think they're out of Belgium or whatever, and they end up, the guys from Mind Geek, as they're called now, and
What was that? The guys from what?
I think they were from Belgium. So and if you again go in and Google all that stuff, you'll find their names and you'll see what they're about, and they monopolize the whole thing. They went in and they bought up all those guys and said, okay, boom, we're gonna buy you. They bought it.
They saw the opportunity whether they had the resources or not.
Yeah.
And Playboy just completely
So they kind of did the same thing that the UFC did. The UFC came out, and when they started getting big, they bought Pride from Japan. They bought the WEC, and they bought all their competition. So then they just incorporated that into their business plan. So what you're saying is that Playboy could have been that.
They could have been that.
Absorbed all the energy.
If they were financially positioned, and from what I understand, you see Hef walking around in his robe and living his life and doing all this stuff. Behind the scenes, what was paying the bills was the adult content. They had linear channels that were playing, like we were talking about, the Heat content that you see.
Double X, HBO, like
soft porn.
DirecTV, the extra page channels.
Double X and a half, double X and a quarter, triple X. What does it mean?
Well, before we go into that, I just want to say we are at One Eyed Penguin. We have a new DJ tonight, but we had our DJ last night who was amazing. DJ. So now we have a
same DJ.
Huh? That's the same DJ.
That's him, but she wasn't here last night.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I was like, she's pointing.
We're at One Eyed Penguin, and we have awesome DJs. And so what's his card say? What was his card? It was DePow or something like that. But One Eyed Penguin. So if you ever come to Dallas, please check out this bar. It's amazing. But now I want to dive into that because I didn't realize, I knew that when you call porn triple X, I just thought all porn was called triple X, or they're just XXXX, and when you search things, you're like, oh, triple X, and you're like, oh, and you just think it's porn.
Or that it's kind of a joke, because I've seen stuff that tries to call it 4X or 5X, which that doesn't really exist.
So Chef Diablo here has told us that there are certain ratings that, if you go on, your Skinamax or HBO or your paid shows, there's different ratings. So there's triple X, there's X and a half, and other things. So you said that it varies on it's basically ratings how many fucks you can say in a movie or how many dicks you can show.
It's like a heat content, as we would call it, the content of heat that's happening. And just like anything, when they shoot a movie, they shoot it with all of it happening, and then when they cut it up, they're like chefs. They're cutting up it into different things to be used and used in multiple areas. So everybody has their own request, whether it's Charter or Spectrum, or they have their adult stuff that you can buy, and have their channel, but they only want it at a certain heat level.
Yeah.
So it's all cut down to that.
You can have the same video and you can sell it as a triple X to one company and then X and 2X and a half to another company, but it's the same video, but it's just how you edit it and cut it.
Correct.
Well,
that's so interesting to me.
I believe what you were saying before too was that is it certain times of the day or certain, you do a clip and they tell you that they want it double X and a half, that you got to make sure that clip meets that standard so that they can
Right, and who knows what their telecast and what their rules are for broadcasting at certain times of the day. Maybe during the day they can only run, double X and a quarter, and then at night they can run triple X. So again, it's all about, and then just like anything, they're just lining up the media to be played out at certain times.
I have some personal questions, and you don't have to answer them. We can always edit it out. But like, you told me that you have actually worked on production at the Playboy Mansion. Like, have you ever got to like experience the grotto? Like, I know you filmed at the grotto, but did you get to like experience the hot tub of the grotto? And like, have you fucked a bunny? If so, which one?
No, and no. But that's the thing. It's like there's, I'm sure there's people that have partaked and have done things, and I've heard stories. Okay, but you go to the mansion to do your thing, and you have work to do.
You're still doing your job.
You're doing a radio show. We would do radio shows from there on Sirius XM.
But give us a
So you've never fucked a bunny ever?
But give us
I know a lot. I know several, but no,
give us
never.
a Martin the Maintenance Man story.
Okay, so
oh yes. Okay, so tell them why you're Mark the Maintenance Man.
So
I was trying to tell somebody the other day. I was like, "What the fuck do they call him?" I said Marvin, I think.
And so when I took the position at Playboy, we had Playboy running at the time on Sirius XM, and Christy Canyon and Ginger Lynn would have their show live, from the little mini mansion, and they were doing the show, and little Sexy Lexi was the producer, kind of like you are, doing her thing, and whenever they would have problems on it.
Did you say doing her thing?
Doing her
like
thing.
I am doing her thing.
I'm just gonna start calling him Sexy Lexi instead of Heine.
So here we are, and if they ever have problems, like mixer, microphone, something falls off, whatever. So they call my office. Hey, we're on the air right now. This isn't working. Can you kind of come me out? So there's all sorts of stuff that happens. You have a pad where you can put in like what the name of the show is while it's happening live. And you can see it digitally say out Christy Canyon, Ginger Lynn, whatever their show. So in this case, it was a little bit more extreme than that. And so I walk in, and I know the.
And they're fucking. It's a porno.
They're that day they were trying out dildos and new dildos and vibrators, and so they're spread legged.
You gotta see what your preference is.
And they're spread on the floor, doing their thing, and the whole 9 yards. So I come in, and Lexi looks at me, and I look over the girls, and they're doing their thing, and they're still doing the show. And then it's like, oh, look who just came in. It's Martin. I think we might have a technical problem, and he's going to come in here and help Sexy Lexi fix it out. But while we're here, we're going to continue to. And all of a sudden, it's like, and they're going to town.
And he's just like, I'm gonna fix this mic.
And then
vagina right here.
Yeah, exactly. So I do my thing, and I come out, and then
fix this mic.
Right. Yeah. So maybe once every couple weeks something will happen.
God, your job sounds
But
so hard.
did they not try and provoke you into?
So down the road, I remember.
They even gave you a sexy porn name.
Yeah, Martin the Maintenance Man. So anyway, and these people are great by all means. I don't think there's anything with expressing your sexuality, and everybody always taught sex to be a bad thing or whatever, dirty or whatever.
We have a sex podcast. Sex is amazing.
Yeah. So that's the whole thing. So I think it's it's great that it's out there and doing what it's doing. So I go in on a second time when there's something going on, and I come in, and they're talking, and they're both naked, and they have like some I think it was a saran wrap over her vagina, and they were doing them things, so there was like a squirting episode or something they were talking about, and then it's like, oh, look who just came in, Martin the Maintenance Man. And they're like, I bet you Martin likes blowjobs. And I look over and I go,
no, I hate them. They're terrible.
And I go, not in my top 3. And they're like, and then you hear Chrissy go, well, I can change that. And I said, no, you're not. I have work to do. So I do my work and leave.
That's why he gets paid the big bucks, because he says no to blowjobs when he has to work.
True professional.
So I want to know your craziest story that you are allowed to tell on film.
When I was
And then later you can tell me your craziest story.
what? When I was a chef, or when I?
don't think it matters.
I don't care. Your craziest story sexually with Playboy or a chef, because I know that you were high up in the chef as well as with Playboy.
When you're a single guy, when I'm working at Playboy, I'm in a monogamous relationship. I'm married. That's it. But when I was a chef, that was
this
crazy
is before
time.
he loves you to death. I promise.
Yeah. So, but when you're out there and you're you're young and you're single, having a good time, and you're living in Las Vegas, and things are crazy things happen. So I would say there used to be a place called Money Plays, and it was a place.
Shout out to Money Plays,
which is no longer there. I believe it's been sold or it's gone, but it was the hangout, and everybody it was kind of like this.
California?
Las Vegas.
Oh, nice. I've never been to Vegas.
Chef Diablo had a good stint in Vegas where he opened up
the Coyote Cafe at the MGM Grand Hotel for Mark Miller.
Nice.
Restaurant that he had the same name restaurant. One in Austin they tried doing, which did well for a while, and that's no longer there. And then the original Coyote Cafe in Santa Fe, New Mexico, which is still there.
All right, so crazy story. Get back to
So anyway, there would always be every night where are you going tonight after work? And we're like, Money Plays, and of course everybody goes to Money Plays, and there's And so the thing is, it's just a beer and wine bar, and then there was another place around the corner or on the same little complex called PT's, and we would walk over and get shots of Jaeger.
What is wrong with you? Shots of Jaeger.
This was the 90s, I'm sure.
Yeah, 90s.
All right, it is the craziest story, and Jaeger doesn't entice that.
So this is how it all went down. So we go over to PT's, and we get Jaeger, and we probably on our fourth run of Jaeger, and all of a sudden Ken disappears because I had tripped, and I fell, and I hit my head in between where the Burger King is at the drive-thru.
Did you walk through the drive-thru?
No,
I've actually done that.
like-
I've had to actually get people in their car to order from me because I'm just walking.
Here's the exit of the drive-thru. Here's the Burger King. Here's the entrance of the drive-thru. Here's the other place over here. I walk over. I trip and fall and I hit my head because I was drunk, and I was out. I had a big bump on my head.
Laying there?
Yeah, and then about I would say it was 2:00. The sprinklers went on, and they woke me up. So
Thank God for sprinklers.
So everybody was looking for me. I finally go into the bar, and Stan.
Did you ever get your Burger King?
I wasn't going for Burger King.
He just was walking by.
Walking by. It was shots of Jaeger from PT's. So anyway, I go back into Money Plays, and Stan is there. And
Who's Stan?
Stan is one of the bartenders, and eventually became the owner.
Nice.
And
Eminem also wrote a song about him.
Yeah.
Shut up.
So we're at the bar, and I'm sitting there. Some woman comes in, and she's bitching and complaining about how much money she lost, and and it's like me and Stan are talking and about sports or whatever, and he's like, "Yeah, okay, I'm okay," and she starts bitching. I'm like, "Will you please? Can you just shut up over there?" And the girl comes over and starts talking to me, and she's yelling and screaming. She said, "Can I get a chip drink? Are you okay?" Next thing you know, we're chatting. Next thing you know, she's going down into my chef pants right there in front of Stan.
Getting that Diablo out of that chef.
While it's going on,
Little devil was coming out.
So while he's talking, and here's Stan watching. I'm like,
You're
dude.
just sitting at the bar after you had a concussion from Burger King?
Yep.
He's got a contusion.
Yep.
I can make you feel better.
Yeah. So anyway,
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
So he tripped and fell at Burger King, but later got a Whopper.
Yeah. Exactly. But could you
That's
imagine
3 jokes in one day that I found funny.
Can you
He's actually
imagine
just keeping up with the jokes today.
being
He's-
woke up in the bushes though, and pass out, and cars are picking up their orders, and you're
and they didn't even do anything? That's so fucked up. I'd be like, actually, I probably been scared of man.
It was roughly 35 minutes or something
So, have you ever met Hugh?
I've seen him in the distance. I never really got to.
Something we were talking about the other day is that at the end of Hugh's life, he had sold the mansion.
Yeah, I want to talk about that because
And there
somebody
was a
told me that
stipulation in his selling of the mansion that he got to live in the house. Were you aware of this?
Yeah, I heard stories about that.
Somebody told me that he rented the house. He never owned it, but you told me he owned it, and then
he owned it until
it
towards
became
the
a
end of his
rental.
life, and he sold the mansion. But the idea behind it was that he could live out his last years or days
right.
or
But I
whatever.
thought that was crazy because
He had plenty of money. You had plenty of money.
Yeah,
It wasn't like
somebody
he
was
couldn't
telling
afford
me
the
that
house.
it was actually not like a really great situation for the ladies because you didn't really get privacy. Like you were bunked in with another Playboy bunny or whatever, and you paid rent. And
It was very strict, it sounded like.
yeah. So, and I didn't even realize that. I just thought that like if you were part of the top ones that you got to stay there, and I didn't realize how strict it was.
You
Awesome.
drew it, the one-eyed penguin.
Thank you, Drew at the One-Eyed Penguin
And
here in
also,
Dallas.
Katie is the best bartender at the One-Eyed Penguin. So if you guys come out, give him a shout out. Tell him you watch Let's Talk Boobs.
Red light shampoo effect for me and boobs for sure.
Okay, so the shampoo effect. I learned this from my friends in NOLA that I've talked about before on the podcast. So shampoo effect is basically like, you know, when you wash your hair with shampoo once and then you accidentally grab the shampoo again instead of the conditioner and it lathers up even easier because you've already used shampoo. So that's basically the shampoo effect with drinking. So if you drink the night before and then you have like a drink and you're like, I am fucking
Or
hammered.
if you drink the night before and then the host of your podcast makes you go out and day drink until 3 o'clock and then take a nap and maybe you're a little behind on schedule.
I don't know what you're talking about. I think we're awesomely doing well.
And on schedule.
And on schedule. So have you, I know that there's a new book that came out with Holly, who is like basically running Playboy now that Hugh's gone. And she was his right-hand man, basically.
I know. His son is running the magazine now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I knew Holly was like a major part of the business aspect, but she wrote a book, and that's
Oh, you're talking about one of the Playmates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the top three. There was like Bridget. Holly was like his right hand man,
so
basically.
the Playmates have their books out right now. I think maybe Kendra and a bunch of other girls have probably put stuff out. But yeah.
That's how I knew about the renting of the rooms and stuff because Holly apparently it's in her book. I had a conversation with somebody.
I would say then probably.
Come on in. What's your name?
I'm Katie Rose.
Oh wait, this is Katie. So if you guys come to the One-Eyed Penguin,
You gotta come in here and like look at that camera.
Say hey, Katie. Yes. But yeah, so I mean, I love, 1 year for my New Year's resolution, I told myself I was going to read nothing but nonfiction books. So I read like a lot of biographies, autobiographies, and stuff like that. So I didn't realize she had a book out. And so I feel like it's pretty interesting from what people told me. And yeah. So,
Yeah, currently Cooper, his son, is the one that
I
has
thought it was his daughter at one point, but
I think it was Christy. Is it Christy Hefner?
So can I ask you why did you quit this amazing fucking job?
Oh, it was a contract position mainly. It was to go in and whatever they were losing, financially, they needed to consolidate and cut costs. And so when Manwin came in, they understood what they needed to do because Manwin wanted to use the content they were creating on Playboy's channels that they bought linear, so they can multi-purpose the media. So not only can they use it for the web, they can use it for TV. So if they're shooting a bunch of stuff, like have you seen the like fake taxi cab driver or whatever? So they could string together from England one of those taxi cab driver shows.
Yeah.
But then they wanted all the linear channels that Playboy had. So I think they consider their websites like malls. They would say, we have all different things, but they considered like Playboy to be like
a specialty store.
Well, yeah, not a specialty store, but like what's the blue box, a place where you get
Tiffany's.
like a Tiffany's.
Yeah,
they
it's like
have,
the high-end
so here's your
place where you
yeah.
get
And then-
porn.
right.
This blue box, she was on it.
Yeah.
I was like, I've never seen a blue box in my life.
Yeah.
I've walked by Tiffany's many times in New York.
So the thing is,
I don't need that kind of jewelry.
so they have all different genres and niches. So the thing is, when you start thinking about all these things like we're talking about that people people want to see that that turns them on. It's like that.
Playboy's like a very vanilla Tiffany box.
Yeah, so you can have really beautiful women, whatever, and there may not be any sex happening, but you can say sometimes I just want to see some beautiful women.
Can I
just say on that note, because like I answer plenty of fish and messages because I try to get people to promote the podcast, and I also have a conversation with people, and one guy was like, just join your Instagram, I'm whacking, I have a 30-minute break in a second, I'm gonna whack off to your photo. I'm like, do people still whack off to photos? Like there's so many options out there.
Only if it's a GIF.
It's
just repeating itself.
It's run my imagination. Like I'm like, there's so much shit out there that I just need to have zero imagination. Why did Playboy stop nudity at one point? Because I do remember that, but I've never bought Playboy magazines, but I do remember that there was a moment.
I don't, I was already, I wasn't there anymore, but I had friends that were still working there, and I think that was Cooper's decision. I don't know if Hef was still alive when he did that.
I think actually he had already. I think it was a year after he died.
Yeah,
actually.
and so I don't know the reasoning. Maybe it was to hype things up, or maybe it was
what they were trying to do is I think that the media had gotten by them, and they felt like with magazines, it's been really difficult for an actual product to be sold in a store. Like it's like the post office versus email. Eventually,
don't even get me started on the fucking post office.
Eventually, the media has changed, and I think they were trying to keep up with the Joneses and being like, all right, well, let's just turn into a different style magazine. But I think that they realized that backfired. I think they're back to,
and now they're back to nudity. But I don't even think the magazine's in publication anymore. If it is, it's limited.
I would say, magazines aren't even really popular anymore. They're just because because of today's world, the mind is so stimulated by internet,
it's iPad,
and free porn,
exactly.
and like going and buying a magazine or even a DVD. Because back in the day, I would go and there was a website that I could go and buy 250 DVDs, porn DVDs. I would go around as a 19-year-old server, and I'm like, you think that girl's hot?
I mean, the best
what
thing
about these girls? I'm like, you get 5 for 25, guys. And I would make a shit of and then my manager took my duffel bag away from me, my duffel bag of porn away from me. It's like, Jason, I'm trying to make money here. I'm making more money selling porn than I am.
But I'll look at my digital copy of Bon Appetit, and then he'll look at his copy of Boy's Life. You know what I mean? And then,
but the thing, I believe the thing is too that at certain point though. Like it's when you were in the 70s, 80s, you waited for that next magazine to come out.
The skateboard magazines or anything like that, right?
Now you have so much content that's online. You get so much in the click of a button.
And I used to be able to masturbate to just a thought and a sound, but now I have to have a video now. My imagination is just ruined because of porn so accessible.
Right.
So you also told me about roping. This is a new term that I'm very, very woke, as you can say. And this is not roping, but so explain roping to us. Red light roping. Chef Diablo is going to explain this to us, and then he showed me a video. I mean, I had the idea, but then he continued to show me the video, and I was
is that video still on your phone?
I have to look.
We cannot show that on YouTube.
Yeah.
Oh no, we can't.
We can't show that.
No, you can't show that on YouTube.
So what exactly is Chef Diablo?
So there's all sorts of niches that they're involved in, and again, I should have sent you the list of all the breakdowns of what these are. And then there was one that came out, but there wasn't a lot of it, but it was called roping, and it's where when a man ejaculates, but it's so much, it's like a lasso.
You can lasso around their
it's so
face.
big, yeah. So
what he showed me is just a facial with art. It's like if you want to pee, signing your name as a guy.
Or putting
roping is you're trying to lasso around, but it's more of a facial, but with a little bit more talent.
Just think of it in a squirt bottle.
So when I was younger, I remember that when the magazine was huge, and China was, everybody thought that she was a man.
Oh,
China the wrestler.
The country, not the lady.
No, China the wrestler, everybody thought she was a man. So at the time when her centerfold came out, it was the #1 bought centerfold magazine of the time. Now, Now, do you think that still holds true, or do you think somebody else has
I would
taken
think
that
somebody
title?
else. And she actually, later on in life, she had a lot of mental issues. She actually became a porn star, and I'm pretty sure she died of either a drug overdose or suicide or something.
Yeah, it was. I think she killed herself. Or I mean,
it's a shame,
we'll obviously post the facts on our editing.
And
but,
her real name was Jenny Laura. Respect to Jenny Laura. I mean, she was just.
She was a nice person. I watched her in Surreal Life.
Surreal Life was amazing.
And she's been so mentally fucked by like her size and like how people treated her,
Absolutely.
and it sucks. But do you think somebody has, and who do you think has replaced her title for the top?
Well, I think when Kim Kardashian was in it, that was like a big seller at one
I
point.
could see that for sure.
And
I'd rather have China.
and then Pamela Anderson, because remember the whole Pamela Anderson Tommy Lee thing with the sex video was out there and everything.
Yeah, but I think China came right after that, though.
Years after that, though, many years.
We'll
Yeah.
do some research and put it in the editing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean Tommy Lee driving the houseboat on the in Nevada.
Somebody told me the other day, like, I'd fuck the shit out of him. I'm like, he is so gross and like cheekbones hollow down. I'm like, I would never. But anyway, so this is our Dallas Playboy edition with Chef Diablo, and Heine and Boobs Blanton. And please check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. Please subscribe on YouTube at Let's Talk Boobs. And we hope that you guys keep following us. We are growing by the day. And thank you so much for your support. And we're out. And what Mark the maintenance
No, Martin.
Mark the maintenance
Martin.
man comes in.
Martin
Martin the maintenance man. I said Marvin. That wasn't so far off of my story yesterday. All right. And so also, okay, I wrote down crying BJ, and I can't remember where that story came from. Was that you?
That was
I thought-
crying BJ, but I don't think I should really talk about it. It has to deal with a young lady in New Orleans and her. I don't think that's quick to share that.
Okay, we can cut that out.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you.
It got loud.
That was good. That was good.
I think it's because there's two speakers.
What's that?
I think it's because there's two.
I can't wait to put that in the editing.
Yeah.
Like, oblivious. Nothing.
We were talking about magazines, and I said the digital magazine. I said I'll get my Bon FT and Heine
You
over
get
here.
your boys
Life.
And you didn't get it all. And we didn't have like a whole conversation even after that, and you were still just going.
I think the reason it's so loud though is because we have two speakers right with us.
We bonded these people. That makes me so happy. Guys.